Shall we sum up Spurs for us?
They were very solid. There was nothing special about the performance. It was exactly the same team that beat West Ham in a similar game in a way, which says a lot about Chelsea, by the way. But they were very solid. They were sound defensively. Romero bullied Kai Havertz and bullied everybody that he had in his zone. They did nothing really extraordinary in the sense of when they had the ball. Kulusevski was again the only really with Kane the only really creative touch, but Richarlison just tried to fight with everybody on the pitch, and that was it. And the rest they took their half chance on the first goal. Really, I mean, he hit it well. Skip even said after the game that it was not even the cleanest of strike, but again, exploiting the mistakes made by Kepa first, and then Enzo, and maybe Kepa again, because he could have maybe saved that. And then the marking on the set piece, really. But apart from that, there was a couple of counter-attacks in the second half. But they almost knew that at some point Chelsea would make mistakes. That as long as they stayed solid, Spurs, and didn't give away any chances, didn't make any stupid mistakes, then they knew that at some point they will have that kind of chance to come, because that's the kind of team that Chelsea are right now. And they were spot on, because they kept their shape well, they defended well, they were aggressive when they had to be, and then they were just very solid, and it worked. And it was just so, at half-time, it was 0-0 and not much had happened, to be fair. It was pretty boring. But you kind of knew that in the second half, where usually Spurs are better, that something like that would happen, and you could have predicted that second half. It was so obvious, and I don't want to come back on Potter, but taking off Joao Felix, for example, when he was clearly Chelsea's best player, was complete nonsense. And on the other hand, Spurs didn't do any of that nonsense. They kept it really safe and solid, and in the end, that got them the win.
What did you make of the red card being rescinded, Jules?
It was really comical. I have to say, being in the stadium where they didn't put on the screens that there was a VAR check, so we were just there waiting. He put a couple of yellows first, and then you could see him standing in the middle of the pitch, and we clearly knew that he was waiting for VAR to say something, but because they didn't announce anything, you know, usually they say, oh, VAR is checking the penalty, VAR is checking violent conduct, VAR is checking this. But we had no instructions, so we were all waiting there just before the break. Some people were halfway through the stairs to go to the toilet, to go to get their beers. And it was just like, okay, what's going on here? And then suddenly he goes and looks for Ziyech, gets the red card, and we're like, what, red card? So everybody goes cheerio. And then suddenly you could hear he's listening again, and he goes, oh, wait, Ziyech, stay here, don't go into the tunnel. It was an absolute shambles. And then he said, okay, let me go and have a look. So then it's almost like they forgot how VAR was working. So they gave the red before he could check the screen. It was really mental. And once again, I think the referees and the VAR system, whatever they called, ridiculing themselves. It was ridiculous.
And then, of course, Spurs fans bringing up the incident with Casemiro, where, of course, he got the red card for the hand on the throat earlier in the season, saying, well, what's the difference?
Well, he didn't grab him by the throat. But again, we were covering the other game, so I've only seen a couple of clips of this. But when Ziyech pushes his hand out into the shoulder, it does sort of ricochet up into the face. And I always think it's dangerous and stupid to get involved. But, yeah, I'm as confused as anybody with what was happening, so I'll leave it to the referees.
I thought it was a yellow. I thought overturning the red card was the right decision. I thought the Casemiro one was a yellow as well.
Ah.
So I'm going
to... Well, you need to look up the laws.
No. Let's not go back down that road.
I don't know if
page 14.
I don't know if Mark Clattenburg's with us. Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.